Glenn Twiddle here, and welcome to another in our series of Total Success interviews. And you would not believe how nervous I am to be sitting here in the home and spending some time with Australian legend, there is no other way to put it, and that's Jeff Fenech. Mate, thanks so much for hanging out, bud.
Great pleasure, Glenn. Thank you.
Oh, mate, I tell you, the list of questions is a mile long, but we've got a limited amount of time here, so let's cut straight to it. I love how you've been so successful, multiple world champion. You've been there and seen it, done it all in your personal field of expertise. What could you tell our viewers who are going to come and see you, come and hear from some of those lessons and stuff? Give us a snapshot about focus leading up to one of those climactic events, like when you were taking on those championship bats. What goes on in the head at that time?
Well, the first and foremost thing that the audience will listen to is me telling the truth, me speaking from the heart, and I believe that is Jeff Fenech all over. It's going to be pretty raw, it's going to be honest, and that's how I like to be, because I'm the kind of guy who believes that, yeah, I've made some mistakes, I've done some silly things, but if I can make sure that somebody doesn't repeat the mistakes I made or teach them a lesson through my mistakes, I'm more than happy to put my hand up for that. But I'm also going to tell them how hard and the work ethic that it takes to become a champion. And one of my famous sayings is, everybody trains for 2 or 3 hours a day. It's what you do in those other 20 or 21 hours a day that makes you the elite champion. What time you go to bed, what you eat, and how you conduct yourself in those hours where there's nobody around, nobody's watching you, and there's no rule of what you can do or what you can get up to, and that's what I think separates great from greatness. And in those other 22, 23 hours, like I said, I done everything to the best of my ability to make sure that I was prepared for the next day. And I think that the greatest attribute you got to have to be able to achieve anything is preparation. I mean, if you prepare properly, you can achieve anything. I fought for the world title in my 7th fight, and everybody was saying, how's this guy going to fight 15 rounds? I did it 50 times, I did it 100 times prior to the fight. I'd done it ever since I started boxing. I always knew that I was a stayer, I wasn't a sprinter. I could always go the distance, and people think that, unless you've done it, you can't do things. But I believe nothing's impossible. If you work hard enough and you prepare properly, anything's possible. And like I said, even the days that I went 15 rounds and I've boxed 15 rounds, I could have done 15 more, because I knew that that's what I wanted to do. There's another thing that I love, when people sit down, they look at Jeff Fenech and say, Jeff Fenech had this amazing big heart. So my heart's no different to the size of anybody else in this room. Dissect us all, we're all the same size. Jeff Fenech had the most amazing mental power. I knew what I could do because I'd done it before. It's first from the head, then from the heart. This doesn't control the body. This controls the body. This controls everything that we do. Heart is just responding to what the message gets from the brain.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about, when you talk about against the odds, I'm honoured that, hanging out with my childhood hero Arnold Schwarzenegger's against the odds. What he did, is against the odds, Tell us about your upbringing and how Jeff Fenech's journey was unlike.
Yeah. Oh wow. Everything I'd done was against the odds. I never put a boxing glove on until I was 17 years of age, just over 17. I'd never wanted to be a boxer in my life. I think that I was maybe on a one-way ticket to spending time in jail. As a youth, I spent a few months in a detention centre for being in a gang and being involved in fighting. And I think I was just lucky to find somebody on a day where I wasn't even supposed to be there or nothing to do with boxing that introduced me to boxing, and totally against the odds I became obviously one of Australia's greatest ever athletes. And I, like I said, to do what I'd done against the odds was even more against the odds when you think that I'd done it with hands that were broken every fight. I mean, the tools of the trade for boxing are your hands. Of course, you've got to have great feet and you've got to be able to think, but you punch with your hands. To do it in all those fights I did them with broken hands is more against the odds, I think, than anybody in the history of any sport or of any field. If you dissect my career and look what I'd done, went to the Olympics after 20 odd fights, was world champion in 196 days. I was the first fighter to be 3-time world champion undefeated. Really the fourth to do it as well, because I was robbed in my 4th fight, totally robbed. It was all against the odds. And like I said, sometimes when you think of the odds, I've I've taken 100 steps forward and then one backwards because I've been in a little bit of strife here and there for things that I'm not proud of. But again, I believe that things happen for a reason and they make you stronger and they make you a better person. The only thing that I regret, or the thing that I regret more than anything, is that on the way to learning those stupid lessons that I put myself through, you hurt the people who love you dearly, your mum, your dad, your family, and I really regret that. But apart from that, life's good, and like I said, I'm somebody who really achieved everything I achieved against the odds, because nobody thought I could do what I'd done. 2 people believed that I could do it. It was my trainer and myself.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so he became like your first mentor? When you say you met that crossroads, you weren't even supposed to be there, and he introduced you to boxing, was that the fella that was kind of like that first mentor?
Yeah, definitely so. I went to the youth club to have a fight with. We went as a group of boys and looking for another group of guys that we wanted to fight with, and thank God they weren't there that day. And as we were looking through the youth club, there was a room that said boxing on it, had a little glass, like a patch of glass where you could look through where it said boxing. I looked in, there was a friend of mine from school who was Australian champion, state champion. Sat down, listened to him, and I heard the trainer say, would somebody box him? I said, I'd box him. I thought I could beat him because I was a little kind of a tough kid on the street, or I thought I was anyway, and got in the ring that day and got the living crap built out of me, and the trainer said it was really good. So in my back of my mind I'm thinking, this guy wants me to get bashed up again to come up here, or did he really think I was good? So not that I weighed it up, I would have been embarrassed if I didn't go back up there. So I went back up there, and 3 months later I was state champion, Australian champion, and yeah, I don't think anybody in any sport in the history has done things as quick as I done them. And you got to realise I'd done them with broken hands, so as quick as I'd done them, I'd had 6 months off for an operation and 8 months off for an operation. Like I had a total of 7 operations, had pins put in both hands. So when we talk about against the odds, maybe me and Arnold should be twins instead of Danny.
What when you talk about with the broken hands, and you talked before about preparation, were the broken hands because of the intensity of your training?
No, my hands weren't really shaped to fight. They're still to this day. One of the best orthopaedic surgeons in Australia, maybe in the world, is a surgeon named Bruce Shepherd, and he operated on my hands quite a few times. And I'll never forget, he said on 60 Minutes, and the footage is there, he said, never in the history has he seen, first of all, he can't believe that I could fight with the hands the way they were, but he said that once I was under anaesthetic and he was reshaping my knuckle and putting the pins in, he said under anaesthetic the kid was still screaming, he was in pain. So I don't know if that, so like I said, I'm pretty proud of what I've done and under the circumstances, because I honestly believe that if I had 2 good hands that I would have knocked everybody out much quicker. Some of them took me a long time to knock out, but through accumulation of punches. But I'm 1,000,000% positive if I had 2 good hands, and who knows, I still could have been fighting today.
Wow. What when you talk about how that was all up here, did you have any, when you were in your fighting days, because I can't wait to pick your brain about now how you're giving back to the next generation, like we just met young Brock, but when you were in your heyday and you're dealing with broken tools, maybe not ideal tools, let's just say, did you have any rituals or any mindset? If it's all up here, what sort of tools did you have, or what sort of rituals did you do that kept that as sharp and able to do what you've done with limited potential, let's say?
Well, the first thing I done was I had somebody look after my hands every day, and everybody talks about putting hands in ice. I've never put my hands in ice once in my life. It was always hot water, and this amazing masseur by the name of John Guttenbill and Steve Lockhart, who used to look after my hands to make sure I could use them again the next day or the day after when I had to box again. But I sparred obviously with bigger gloves, and they still hurt me, and I just thought to myself, you done it today, you've done it, for the 8 weeks prior to your fight, you've just got to do it again. And the rewards on fight night are much greater than the rewards during training. So although I got lots of injections to train and so on, I always felt so much better and so much stronger and so much happier, thinking, wow, I went through all this pain, because there were nights straight after the fight that I'd spend in hospital. I'd go to sit in hospital and get my hands checked and things like that, or I'd come home and be up all night in terrible pain, and like I said, they always say victory's sweet or whatever happens,
So focusing on that goal, wow. Now tell us, you just introduced us to young Brock, and man, what a phenomenal young man he is. So now you're in a mentoring role. Actually, before we get on to Brock, because I've got to pick your brain. I only get this chance very rarely. You trained Mike Tyson, formally in his later years, but informally you'd be working out with him, spending time with him socially, and training him in those early years. Tell us about some of those lessons that you impart to others, including Iron Mike.
Yeah, well, for me it was an amazing thing. I'll never forget the first day I met Mike. I was walking. I was receiving an award in Las Vegas, and he walked past me. I was just sitting there. Jeff Fenech, you're the greatest Australian fighter. So it was amazing for him to give me that recognition. It was like back in '86 or '87. It made me feel like I was Arnold Schwarzenegger, big and great. But and then to slowly get to know him and to hang out with him and to stay at his house, to travel the world with him, was one of the most amazing things I've ever done. I've done some great things, but being with Mike Tyson, I compare to being around the Beatles, because I just know that when we're in London or anywhere in the world, when Mike Tyson would walk out of his hotel room, if he'd moved the curtain in the hotel room, people would be screaming. And I remember watching the Beatles on TV thinking, wow, and we'd go out and get into a car and the crowd would just run up the street touching the car. And despite all the negative things and people like to say about celebrities, Mike Tyson was one of the most generous, amazing people I've ever met. I'll give you one amazing story that I'll never forget. That I was on a plane with him, we were sitting in first class, and I'm one of those guys who likes to fall asleep straight on the plane, and I fell asleep about 30-40 minutes later. I woke up because the plane's in the air, and I'm now sitting next to a lady who's like in her 70s, and I thought, am I dreaming? I went down the back and Mike was sitting in the last row. He seen this old lady walking in, gave her his seat and went sat in the back of the plane. And I've seen him do many amazing things. I've seen him cuddle kids who couldn't walk or were disabled and make them so happy. I've seen him just stop the car and give people money. He's a one in a million, and I believe in karma. What goes around comes around, and I think he's in a great place at the moment. He's in a great place. He's got an amazing wife. He's got an amazing family, and all I can do is wish him well, because I've seen him. Of course, everybody makes mistakes, and people like to remind you about the mistakes you make. And Mike's very, very similar to me, where I don't do things to get recognition for it, and nobody would know that Mike done that unless I told them. And I'm just telling him because I just know he's a great person, and people need to know that he's a great person. Yeah,
a mate of mine just got back from his show in Vegas, said it was magnificent, and they're really embracing not only the wins that he's had, but he embraces those challenges that he's had.
Well, Mike's an amazing person when it comes to those tough times and the times that he has. He's very, very open, and he doesn't hide the fact that he's made those mistakes. But like I said, for him to be in the space that he's today and to be still, trying to help people and trying to help himself and his family, I think he's testimony to being, one of the greatest fighters in the history of the sport.
Yeah. What now? Talking about, you're still in phenomenal shape yourself, and I'm being a bit selfish here now because everyone can see I still got a few kilos myself to lose.
You'll do it, mate.
Mate, you're in great shape. How does physical well-being and being in the shape you're in kind of relate to your success, whether it is in business, whether it is in sporting? How does this physical shape relate to mental shape?
Yeah, well, I mean, the mirror is the ultimate judge. So, I can look in the mirror and look at photos when I had a 6-pack or an 8-pack and think, wow. And I look at myself today, I definitely don't want to look terrible, but I try to look as good as I can. I go out, my wife and I, we eat dinner out every single night. We go to beautiful restaurants, and we love our red wine. We'll have at least a bottle and a half to 2 bottles between us every single night. On a good night we'll have more than that, but so I got to make sure that I've got an amazing gym in my house. So every morning the first thing I do is I ride the bike 20k, and then I'll do a machine that you certainly wouldn't have heard of. It's called a ski erg, which is one of the hardest machines in the world to do, and I use that. And then I'm blessed that I train a young boy by the name of Rock Jarvis, who is a big part of my life today. Back in the day when I first went to the police youth club, there was a policeman who arrested me one day, or came to arrest me, and his name was Pat Jarvis, and he played rugby league for St George, for New South Wales State of Origin in Australia. And a couple of years ago, his brother, who's a great friend of mine named Dominic Jarvis, brought this little skinny young cocky kid to the front door and said that he wants to do boxing. Can you help him? I said, of course. I couldn't say no to them, because I owe the family an amazing debt. His grandmother was also, Brock's grandmother was also my dietitian and helped me for years. And I looked at him, I thought, wow, this is an amazing talent. This is a boy who reminds me very much of myself, who's very hungry, who trains very hard. And
well, you said overtrain sometimes.
Yeah, there's a method to the madness, and sometimes I've got to pull him back, and I know that. I have no doubt that when he leaves here, he goes and does things on his own. But I'm trying to teach him that. Maturity and experience will teach him that. And I watched him, and ever since I've got back into sport, I love it more than I've ever loved it before. Matter of fact, I love it more training him than I loved it when I was doing it myself. Because if I can give something back to him and to those people who helped me, it would be an amazing result for me. So yeah, at the moment, I love what I'm doing. I love seeing him learning, and I'm loving boxing at the moment.
Beautiful, mate. So, mate, I know this is shifting gears a little bit, but I wanted to ask you about you getting like to the finals of the Celebrity Apprentice, where you were put through the ringer about business and about marketing, about branding, about all those sorts of exercises. How have you made that brand that is Jeff Fenech? I mean, there's a lot of good boxers out there, but Jeff Fenech as a personal brand has become iconic. Was there a strategy to that, or was that just a natural thing that just happened?
I was pretty lucky, although I've obviously damaged my brand a little over the last few years. But listen, for me that doesn't mean anything, but I just know that I was very blessed. James Pack was my great friend. I love James, I love David Gingell. They're two of my very, very close friends who I've been blessed to have mutual respect with, and they are always there for me when I need them. And I always had this little thing in my head that I would never want to let my friends down. And being around them and seeing, I kind of think that they would expect me to be successful and to do the right thing. So, yeah, although like I said, I've made some mistakes, I've always wanted to make sure that more than myself, I make my people happy that have helped me, and they've been great supporters of mine. And David Gingell and I are still great friends today. James and I are still great friends today. Just a couple of years ago, I went to the opening of the big casino in Macau. When he was there, I was blessed to be in the same private areas, De Niro, DiCaprio, and Brett Ratner, and everybody else. So it was an amazing experience for me. And like I said, you think that you want to knock on wood. I just could never have dreamed, Jeff Fenech ever meeting them unless I watched them on TV. So that kind of stuff has, made me really work hard to try to make those people think, wow, our time and effort hasn't been wasted with Jeff. So I'm a pretty proud guy, and like I said, I always knew that growing up when I had nothing, and then I looked at my career, and if I go back and think of how much I was robbed and how, if I got what I deserved for my fights, when I finally realised, and I sat down and thought to myself, wow, instead of just thinking, wow, Jeff got 100,000 for a fight, now I understand that you've got to sit down and think there's $1.5 million made on the gate, there's $3 million made on pay-per-view, there's this, and I would have been much better off. But it's all a lesson in life, and I believe this, I believe that you've got to take the good with the bad, and you just keep moving forward, and I've done that, and I've been able to, I made more money through sponsorship and through my own business dealings than I did throughout my boxing career. So I'm really, really proud of that a kid who only went to year 10 in school, not a great education. But Mr. Packer always said that Kerry Packer, because I trained him, was the most amazing thing I've ever done, travelling with one of the greatest humans I've ever been with. He always said that Jeff could be the Prime Minister of the country. He thought I was smart enough to do anything I wanted to do, and he always gave me that confidence, and I've always believed in myself. So all good.
Wow.
I know who I am, I know what I represent, I know what my brand means, I know what damaged goods can do, and I know what great goods can do, and I know what in-between goods can do, and I still work really hard to... Look, the one thing about me that stands me out between everybody else, I'm loyal. I don't need a contract with nobody. If somebody robs me, they rob me, that's bad luck, but I'm not going to be the person anybody can ever say Jeff did the wrong thing or rob me, so I'm good there. A handshake's great for me still to this day. I know it doesn't mean much because there's not much loyalty, but a handshake's good enough for me.
Mate, I can't believe you kind of said that. It was funny that it was at Arnold Schwarzenegger's house, the deal that we did for this event coming up. His right-hand guy told me it was the third time in his entire career that he's ever done a deal on a handshake like that, and I was the third bloke. Unbelievable, mate, because I'm the same, mate. I figure I'm not willing to enforce a contract, so if you need one, I'll do one, and if you don't...
Yeah, I'm exactly the same. I've had all those fighters around leave me, and I've never had contracts. People say, if you would have had a contract, you could... if they don't want to be with me, they're not happy, that's good. And if I'm not happy, I'm happy.
Yeah, nice, mate. So, mate, being in the bar downstairs with the wall, where you have met literally every human being that people like me grew up in Ipswich are in awe of. Everyone's there. There's not a famous person that I could think of that isn't got a photo of Jeff Fenech on the wall downstairs. Who stands out the most that you would have thought is the most unlikely?
Ipswich, Alfie Langer. I love Alfie. Alfie's one of my great friends. But no, look, when I first met Sylvester Stallone when he came to Australia and wanted to meet me, I gave him a pair of my shorts and I fought this great Mexican in Carlos Zarate who was helping him doing some boxing at the time, and to meet him, because the Rocky movies and all that kind of stuff was certainly amazing. But I got to say, still to this day, Mike Tyson, I just love what Mike represents. I love the love that he's given me and my family every time I've been with him. And although it's I haven't seen him as much as I have, I just know that when I do see him, it's special for me. Like I said, name a few others, but I don't want to do that. But just I am, I'm a loyal person, and through all the heartache and stuff that Mike's gone through, I've always been one of his loyal supporters, and I'll always have his back because I know he'll always have mine. So I've been very, very lucky, like I said, to meet one of those movie star heroes, Stallone, with the Rocky movies and all that kind of stuff. But to have that relationship that I had with Mike for such a long time certainly made me happy to be his trainer in his last ever fight, and to stop the fight before he got hurt makes me very, very proud. The people in the corner, let him get up and fight. No, I'm not going to let my friend get hurt anymore. That was enough. And I've had an amazing life, an amazing roller coaster. And again, let me say, to be able to train Kerry Packer and to travel the world and see like this amazing gambler, an amazing, generous man, be so generous to so many people was an eye-opener. And like I said, to have the friendship of his son James is very important to me too.
Yeah, nice, mate. It's been an honour hanging with you, bud. In closing, what would you say, from what you've seen of the event that you're going to be speaking at coming up, what is there anything you're looking forward to there, both from what you're going to be giving to that crowd, and similarly, are there any other speakers of note that you'd like to look at? Now, if you want to edit this in. No, I'm looking forward to you losing the other 20 kilos that Arnold says you got us, so you can fit on the seat finally. But no, apart from that, no. She's now confident from Jeff Fenech too. I love it. No. I just, I'm me when I talk, like I said, it's going to be quite different to everybody else. Like I'm this little guy who, for a time, didn't like who I was because I think I got carried away and I changed. And I used to always say, fame or fortune never changes you, but it changes everybody. And I don't even like that guy who I was when I came back from America, when I had the draw with Jim Nelson. My head got too big. I could do whatever I wanted to, and I don't like that. I don't like that person. I like people to know that the person they're going to hear speak in a week certainly isn't that person. It's the real Jeff Fenech, because I'm no bigger or no better than anybody else, and that's where my talk will come from, and I'm sure I'll engage the crowd, and they'll walk out thinking, that he's a different person. They think, I'll never forget. I'll give you a quick example. I was doing a big talk for Metcash one day. It's a massive company, if you heard of Metcash, and there was 140 people going, and I'll never forget walking across the road when this lady was speaking to another lady, and she didn't know I was there. She goes, "What in the fuck's Jeff Fenech going to talk about today? He's a boxer. What's he going to be able to get?" I'll never forget that after this lady had the audacity to walk up to me. She didn't know I heard her, but she said, she didn't tell me she saw either, but she said, "Mr. Fenech, you know what? Early today I was walking, I think, what the hell are you going to talk about? But the first thing, before I tell you how great it was and so on, so can you ring my son? I've never been," and she was like in tears saying that she had it was the most amazing, 30, 40 minute talk she's ever been to. She's had everybody else talk, but she didn't know what to expect from me, and she loved it, and we keep in contact to this day. So it's, it's just funny how things happen and how how people perceive it. A lot of people believe what they read in the papers and stuff, and I'm a strong believer in this, that never make judgment on somebody. You keep it to yourself if you do, but don't make it public unless you know the person personally. Because you can't really believe what you read in the papers or you see on TV. They can edit things and make you look like a devil when you're an angel, and they can certainly change things. And I think that, like I said, with Jeff Fenech, what you see is what you get, and people will enjoy it. Wow. Well, mate, a credit to you on the journey, mate. Thanks so much for being a part of it. I can't
Should I
wait.
tell Arnold what you said?
Which bit? Yeah, you can
That he said that he wants me to be the main event. Arnold, you're going to be talking before me now. I'm talking as the main event.
Now you got me in trouble with the Terminator. What are you...
I'll fix him up for you. He's 70. Don't worry about him. Yeah.
Oh, mate, an honour hanging out with you, Jeff.
Pleasure.
Thanks a million, bud.
Pleasure, guys. Thank you.
And folks, Glenn Twiddle for another in our series of Total Success interviews. And if no one else epitomises that more than Jeff Fenech, I'd be very surprised. Guys, until next time, bye for now.